This is a Fender Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster. This says it's one, but isn't. And I'm here to tell you that you should definitely not buy this one. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo J. Karjalainen. It's good to have you along. You can call me this guy if my name is tricky to pronounce. Yes, I have here a cheap knockoff Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster. And I'm here to tell you that you should not buy it. And there are two main reasons for that. Why? I bought this 2 or 3 years ago and I paid just over 200 euros, I think it was, for it. And these days I see that it's available on AliExpress for just under 300 euros. Why should you not buy it? Well, the first reason is quality. And the second reason is copyright. Let's start with number 2. This is like one of those Gibsons where you buy something that looks like a Gibson. It says Gibson on it and everything is like it's supposed to be, kind of, until you scratch deeper and it's not really a Gibson. But I bought this from eBay. I think I searched for something like cheap Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster to see what there was back then, 2 or 3 years ago. And this came up, and me, with my slightly simple mind, I thought it was going to be like a Strat style guitar with scallops. I don't actually think they had pictures of the headstock. And come to think of it, I don't think they do on the AliExpress sites either, where you can still get what looks exactly like this guitar. So what I thought I was getting was something that would probably say Shanghai guitars or whatever on the headstock, and the headstock would not be an identical Fender Strat. And what do I find when I unbox it? Well, I find that it says Fender, and it has the Yngwie Malmsteen signature and everything. And I felt kind of, I was basically a bit stunned. That was not what I thought I'd bought. But I was kind of open to maybe trying it out still on the channel back then. But I was unsure and I didn't know what to do, and then I kind of forgot about it because I had other stuff going on and it just kind of sat around here. And time passed. And then I had a look at it and I thought, well, let's see what it's like. But before we get to what it's like, and it's a train wreck. First of all, I'm not going to provide you with the link. What I'm going to say is that if you're buying an Yngwie Strat or any other kind of guitar that's a well-known brand, and you're buying it from somewhere like eBay where you don't know the seller or something like, or AliExpress or whatever, make sure that it's actually not a cheap knockoff, because this is definitely a cheap knockoff. And one of the things that I think, I'm not an expert on the legal side of copyrights when it comes to guitars and all that, but I have heard that the body shape is actually doesn't make a difference. The headstock is what makes a difference, and that's, from my understanding, it's because of acoustic guitars and the body shapes really being a bit more limited in that sphere, but you can do whatever with the headstock. Okay, fine. And I've had tons of cheap guitars on the channel that have been kind of knockoffs of more well-known brands. Like Harley Benton is one of those that make all sorts of knockoffs. Make all sorts of knockoffs. But at least they're working within the legal bounds. We can discuss the moralities of that if we want to. Personally, I don't really care as long as it doesn't infringe on copyrights and they don't exploit their workers. And from what I've understood, the Harley Benton workforce, at least I haven't heard anything bad. If you have, please let me know in the comments. But this is just a blatant knockoff where they're actually just trying to sell guitars with someone else's name. And that's, I mean, you can say that Fender are overcharging their customers, or Gibson are doing that. So you can have that discussion, you can argue for and against and whatever. But this is not the solution to get kind of counterfeit guitars. And it's not just that they're taking your money by using someone else's copyright thing. It's that they're actually scamming you out of your money using someone else's name. And here's where we get to the issue of quality. Because everyone and their dog can see that it says Fender Stratocaster here, and that's no go. Anyone who's been around a Fender Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster can quite quickly see that this is not one. Partly because it doesn't have a brass nut, and the pickups are all wrong. Those were the two first things I noticed. This is some kind of cheap plastic crap. Look, it came loose. Huh. And you'll notice it's without strings, and I'll explain why in a second. The pickups say noiseless. Kind of like Fender's pickups did at some point, or maybe they still do, I'm not kind of certain. They say noiseless, and this is what you get. Even without any gain from any pedal, just the amp, which is on the verge of breakup. So if we add that, now you could say, okay, single coil, yes, that's fine. But they actually say noiseless, so for real. The connections seem all weird and they seem microphonic and they make a ton of noise. And on the back it says Fender, and it's that cheap kind of tremolo block. Kind of, that's what I was expecting. But after it sitting around here for 2 years, I thought, well, maybe I'll try it out anyway. And so the first thing I wanted to know, what's it made of? So I unscrewed the neck, and it was made of wood. But the thing was, while I was at it, I decided to change the strings. And so at some point I had the old strings off, and I did this. And this was basically the sound I heard. Slightly different because I don't know where the parts are. But the tuners, just the parts, they just disintegrated, 2 of them. And even the tuners even say Fender. So it's a totally unusable guitar, and it's riding on someone else's name. I mean, this is worse than the Yngwie Strat that I reviewed, because at least that's kind of something, trying to be its own thing. I seem to remember someone saying it's a bit like a Charvel something, but this is just like basically, hey, buy this Yngwie Malmsteen Strat that's made in China and it's only 300 euros or slightly less. Except they don't really outright say that it's an Yngwie Malmsteen Strat because it's not pictured. And then you get this which says Yngwie Malmsteen Strat. And if you're fine with the moralities of that, okay. But then when you don't even have to scratch deep. I mean, things just disintegrate. I mean, I buy the gear that I review, so you guys get an honest review, and I accept I'm going to make a loss on each instrument that I buy, because I will sell it on as a kind of second-hand item or B-stock item, and there'll be postage stuff involved on occasion that sometimes I have to pay, and I will never get my money back from this. Ever. Now I have 2 ways I can go with this. I can replace everything except for the neck and the body, which are actually fine. And maybe, I don't know, smash it like Yngwie does during a show. Or donate it to someone, I don't know. And I thought I'd make a video where I explain that the money I invested in this guitar is money that I could just as well have thrown out the window, because I will never see that money again, and I hope that you do not waste your time on this piece of rubbish. So a huge thank you goes to the people over on Patreon who support this channel, because like I said, I buy the gear that I review and they make that possible. If you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. You can even take the stuff that's there for free. You get access to my music lessons and a bunch of exclusives and my Spark Mini presets. Yeah. I'm not a very happy customer. Take care. See you. Bye.